lots of people would teach them, "I'll just go and be a developer, or just go and do this. Don't be a general builder anymore." Well, we need trades. So why would they stop doing that? They just need to be better structured.
Hi everybody, Gavin Coyle here. I'm the Gaffer podcast back again, and I have a great guest here today. It is Richard Stone, and Richard has a great bit of experience in the area of property investment and helping construction owners scale their business and be successful in their business regardless of your size, but especially in the small to medium enterprise market. How are you, Richard? Thanks very much for coming in
Grand.
today.
Thank you for the opportunity to come and have this conversation. I'm looking forward to it. It's been the highlight of my week, and I think we're going to have a really good crack.
Yeah, 100%. I like the word crack as well, because the Irish connection with the crack is kind of our indication of how the flow is going to happen with regards to today. I was looking forward to this podcast with you today. You know, there's a lot of wealth of information behind you in terms of your past experience. Can you give us some sort of a sense of where you started within your career and how you've built up that sort of profile?
Yeah, of course. So I was actually in my first foot in at 5 years old in Birmingham. My dad was in construction. He was a QS and he was doing an extension on our house. Yeah. And it's one of the first slides on my slides. When I do a lot of public speaking, it's one of my first slides because it kind of sets a backdrop of when I started. Yeah. And that single event was where my passion for construction that I've still got today, that's where it started. I can trace it all the way back to that. Brilliant. Because before that event, I'd only ever built stuff out of like Lego, Meccano, but taking like a pile of materials from the front garden and building something tangible, that to me was just like massive. It gave me a hard one. It was like a massive buzz. Like, wow, this is what we've achieved.
And was that a family business or was that
so my dad was a QS for a building company. So literally, he literally ran it, got all the trades in, but we'd done all the labouring, all the creosoting of timbers, blackjacking, loading out, clearing up, all that other stuff that didn't want to pay trades to do because you want trades doing tradesman's work. Yeah, we did. So at 5, I was pushing wheelbarrows of bricks around.
So your father basically went out and pulled the whole lot together. Yeah, in terms of cost. Yep. In terms of labour. Yep. You know,
ordered all the materials. My mum was on a Kango, jackhammering out the old garage space. Yeah, I've got photos of it. Yeah.
So it was a proper construction business from like.
It was we come together to do that one project on our house. It wasn't like a limited company or an SME or anything. It was literally to do that. But
was that out of a necessity to save money?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it was like money. You know, money was hard to come by. You know, my mum was like raising 2 kids. My dad was just like a junior, maybe like junior site QS. So he wasn't on a lot of money. He's got a wife and 2 kids. So it was like we needed the space and you know, you do what you got to do, didn't you?
But then you started to understand the pitfalls and what works and what doesn't work and how to trust people and not trust other people, how to do the due diligence.
Yeah, and mindset as well. Like I'm massive into mindset now because I do believe that skill set without mindset will leave you upset. Yeah. But one of the very first experiences I ever had of mindset was, this was in like the very, very early 80s, so like 81, 82 maybe. Yeah. And we had a scaffold up to put the roof on for the chippies to work, for the bricklayers and then the chippies. And my dad left it up for the felters to come in and felt the roof. And on the day that the felting gang come in, the geezer was like, "Why have you left this up? It's in the way." I wanted a ladder, mate. And my dad was like, "What? You got a full wraparound scaffold, albeit it was padlock scaffold with single handrail and toe board, but it was a scaffold that was compliant. But the roof was like, this is in my way. I wanted a ladder." So they've been given a safer system of work and they don't want it. They want to actually do it and take risks. I was like, what? And I didn't know, like, obviously I didn't know what I know now, all of the language that was sat behind it, but I did have a real strong sense of, but this is safer. Why do you not want to do it? And it was literally because, well, I've always done it this way.
And was there a, legacy of construction in your family, generational legacy?
Yeah, my dad did that whole thing of a few years ago. Do you remember that when Ancestry.com went massive? So he done that and he researched the granny out of our family tree, and there is construction that goes a long way back. My granddad on my dad's side retired early from the docks. He was a draftsman, designed ships in the dockyard. Yeah. My nan was ill, so he had to take early retirement. So we took early retirement so he could look after my nan. But he retrained as a draftsman doing houses. So he learnt like building code and that sort of thing because it wasn't building regs. So he learnt all that. So he could literally, and some of my prized possessions are like his propelling pencils, his slide rule. And do you know what? I could have the most expensive car, the biggest house. It wouldn't matter a fuck.
Yeah.
Because those are the things that hold me.
True value.
That's proper like,
value.
I've still got his Penguin Building Dictionary from like 1970.
Yeah.
And it says in there, asbestos, a revolutionary new material.
Stop.
And it's those things that I'm like, they're my most prized possessions apart from my family.
That's fantastic. So where did you go to college then? So how did you progress that then?
So I wasn't a big fan of school. The only reason I really sort of, I need to put some context around like my journey for you to understand what I'm going to say. Yeah. So I was born in Birmingham. We left when I was 8 because my dad got promoted from site QS to senior QS, and we moved to Bristol, which was not great. I got bullied quite a lot, just because I spoke really differently. Okay. But different parts of the country's education system are at different stages. Yeah. So I was about 2-3 years ahead in some subjects, which made me look like the kid who was like from out of town, who was a smart ass who knew the answers. So I didn't fit in. So at 11, I got a job in a pub, washing dishes. So I used to wash pots in the pub and of a night time, and then on a Saturday and Sunday lunchtime. And the landlord had a son and a daughter. His son was a landscaper, and his daughter's boyfriend was a scaffolder. So he was like, "You work really hard. I want you to come and like load out a load of turf one Saturday." Yeah. So I was like, "All right. Well, how much are you going to pay me?" "I'll give you 40 quid. I was like, "Give me 50 quid," because I'd seen a shirt I wanted. "Give me 50 quid and I'll do it." So anyway, so I loaded all this turf out. Got back to the pub and he bought me a pint in the pub, and I felt like I was really big bollocks at 11 having a pint because I was still like nearly 6 foot tall. Yeah. Anyway, his brother-in-law was like, "What are you doing? What you got him working for you for?" He went, "Mate, seriously, he's like a proper grafter." I went, "What?" About a month later, they needed someone to go and labour, loading a load of fittings out on a scaffolding job. Yeah. So he's like, "Do you want to come and have a shift tomorrow on a Friday night?" When I was washing up. And I never looked back.
Brilliant. Fair play to you.
They struggled sometimes to work out where their money was on some of the jobs. Yeah. And I was like, literally, just like sitting in the lorry, right, bang, there you go. That's how much it is. And they'd left a load of money on the job. Wow. So then they were like, "Can you just do our numbers?" And then from there, it sort of grew. 2 years later, my dad got promoted again, and we moved from Bristol to Buckinghamshire to Wing. And I didn't want to go. I was a proper toxic little teenager. I didn't want to go. I wouldn't go viewing houses.
You had a network as well built up for yourself, hadn't you?
Oh, massively. I had 4 jobs at that stage. I was doing pots in
I
was bottling up at 5 o'clock in the morning in the pub, going to school, coming out of school, going labouring, scaffolding or doing fencing, and doing turfing. And then weekends I was washing pots, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I had this Glenfiddich jar, right, that was full of pound coins. When pound coins first come out, it was full. I had to get another one. Plus my wages, I was getting in but that was all because we used to get tips as well. And because people looked at me and was like, "He's a grafter," I used to get good tips as well.
You probably nearly get more in tips than you would in wages in some cases. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. So and that's where my work ethic come from. And because I was getting bullied, I could just take a little bit of that dough and just give it to the bullies to just get rid of them.
Stop.
Completely the wrong thing to do. Yeah. All I cared about was making money. Yeah. So if I could,
they were in the way.
Spend an hour fighting them, or spend 10 minutes and go, "Do you know what? Job, I'm going to buy a Mars bar." That's what I did.
I heard a great analogy recently. If somebody's pissing on your tent, like the way the bullies were pissing on your tent, invite them in and tell them to piss out.
Love it. That's wicked. Yeah.
That's exactly what you just did.
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, like
just spin it round. Make it work for you.
Yeah, rather than getting into a confrontation and whatever else. So there's negotiation straight away. Yeah. So really, when you think like listening to you is like buzzing in my head is like there's negotiation, there's collaboration, there's like how all these little entrepreneurial stuff was starting to feed into you at a very young age.
Yeah, massively. And so when we moved to a village called Wing in Buckinghamshire, and I went to school in Leighton Buzzard, which was like in the next town. So there was like a bit of animosity between the village and the town. Yeah. And there was a geezer who lived at the end of our road. He was a driving instructor. And I just got on with his daughter. And I'd done horse riding when I lived in Bristol, and they'd got horses. And I was like, "I can't afford like horse riding lessons." And he was like, "Well, if you like paint the outside of my house for me, I'll give you horse riding lessons." I was like, "All right, sweet." I said, "But I'll tell you what, I'll do you a deal. I'll do it in 5 years' time. You've got to give me driving lessons," because he was a driving instructor. Yeah. And I knew if I painted it now, it'd need redoing.
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right." So
you were hustling the whole time.
Yeah,
nothing was handed to you.
No.
Yeah. How many is in the family?
So I've got one brother.
Just yourself?
Yeah, just me and a brother who's 2 years younger.
And did he go into construction?
No, he works in professional sport. So he did sports psychology and science. He's worked at like MK Dons. He worked at Southampton when they sort of went on that sort of big sort of trajectory upwards.
Yeah.
So he's all about all the kind of like the mindset, the data analysis, all that
brilliant.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a massive thing at the moment, obviously, in that area. Yeah,
he loves it. He's massively passionate. He would literally, there's not a sport that he doesn't love. And he's come out of professional football and he works in the data industry now. So literally it's like any sport, and he's working with like big like clubs all around the world, but also other businesses that would have an interest in that data.
Fantastic. And so for yourself then, did you open up your own construction company, or what was the natural progression? So
I worked on the tools for years as a subby fencer, which I enjoyed. And my first wife, her best friend's husband was a QS, and he was like, "This is nuts." And you'd like sort of see him for dinner, and you'd have a chat, and he's like, "You are wasting your life digging holes. Literally, what are you doing? You're just wasting your life." So I didn't have very good GCSEs. I got 4 GCSEs, and they threw me out of A levels. They didn't want me in school, which was fine because I only wanted to be there for the fag shop and a rugby pitch anyway. It wasn't really my thing. So I put myself through college, did ONC, HNC, and building studies.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Right," he said, "You've done that now. What are you going to do with it?" And I was like, I don't know where to start. I'm a subby. Who's going to give me a job? And he was like, "Right, you need a CV." And I just looked at him, I was like, "What?" And I think, they were round for dinner, so we'd probably ironed out a best part of a bottle of red wine each. And I just went, "What the fuck do I want with a French car?" And he just looked at me and went, "You twat." He went, "A CV, a curriculum vitae." And I was like, "What's one of them?" Because I had no idea. I fucking need it. You turned up, you'd done a shift, and someone thought, "Yeah, you work hard, I'll give you a job."
Your head was stuck into the job and making money and work. You were hustling. So
I was married, I've got children.
Yeah.
Just needed to earn a bit of coin, so I wasn't thinking about that sort of stuff. And as much as I'd done college, we were doing like all the technical stuff, like quantity surveying, site management, engineering, estimating, health and safety, organisation procedures. No one sits you down and goes, "Yeah, by the way, you need a CV. This is what it looks like." No. There's none of that shit. None of the useful stuff.
There's no polish.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. So he literally, like about a week later, I think, come around with this fucking laptop that was now like about this big. It was like huge, this thing. Needed like a power station with it. And literally, we just sat there and went, "Right, just tell me like everything you've done." And he typed it all out on his computer, done it, and he went, "Right, I'll print that out in the office." So he took it back to work, printed it a couple of days later, and he said, "I've sent it to this company." I was like, "What? What do you mean you sent it?" I said, "You just printed it." And he'd emailed it. I didn't even know what email was.
You can't, no way.
I had no idea what email was. Like, I knew what Lotus Notes was because Lang's used that when I did some management training with him.
Yeah.
So I knew, but I was a trainee site engineer and site manager. So we was out setting out the building, doing all the QMS checks, making sure the labour was right, making sure the plant checks are done. The QSs and the people in the office had like emails and stuff. We didn't.
Yeah, I know.
Because we were like actually out in the field.
You were feeders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. So he'd had a contact with this recruitment company. I didn't even make that proper open my eyes. Yeah. I was like, "Mate, they're pimps." "What's a recruitment company?" He went, "No, these people get you a job." I went, "Yeah, but what do they get?" He went, "Oh, they charge a fee." I was like, "What? So they're going to get me a job and they get paid?" And I was like, wow, I didn't know that whole world existed. It just like blew my brain.
Yeah.
It was like, Jesus, there's loads of people feeding into this.
It's a whole ecosystem. So I'm actually, as you're talking there, I'm thinking to myself, I know where you are today, and I'm going thinking to myself, this is like your journey is like seriously impressive to where you are today. And like, I don't want to jump forward. We'll get into that later on.
I'm just a normal human being. I'm not anything special. It's just,
I think it's great that you're humble on it, but when you think about when your back is to the wall and you kind of have to just get stuck into the grass, you kind of do go on a blinkered vision. I think, would you agree?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
you kind of blinkers are on, head down,
and you're down, arse up, get on with it.
Yeah, so
what my nan used to say.
It actually helps you focus on what's important, which is I have to get the job done in order to get paid.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've done 7 bits of work this morning before I left. Before when I got in the shower to come in.
Love it.
I've done more in that period of time. I mean, I've done like 3 keynotes this week and other stuff, but I've probably been more productive in a short period of time this morning.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had that hard stop before the cleaner came. Bosh, I've got to get this done. I've got to get that done. The funder's waiting for that. The bank's waiting for that. That report's got going. So I do tend to work better and that's why I love programs and deadlines and stuff, because it's like, right, you commit to it, you stick your cock on the block and you've got to deliver it. There's no like, oh, sorry, I haven't done it. Because
we're aiming here to talk to the hard grafter guys that are, working mad hours and
100-hour weeks.
Yeah.
Don't see their family.
No.
Miss birthday parties and all that stuff.
Yeah, but they have the blinkers on too. It's not that they're blind or willfully blind.
No, not at all.
Just
get stuck on a hamster wheel that just spins quicker and quicker.
Yeah, and you're doing what you consider as making money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll get into that later on, whether they are or not.
That's a fierce hamster wheel, that is. But I look forward to that conversation because that's.
So bring us up to speed then, like.
So I got the company sent my CV off 4 companies. I had 3 interviews, got 3 job offers. Ironically, I got a job offer from a company. I was 2 hours late for the interview because the M25 shut. I got interviewed by a different person. Got offered a job as a site manager. Was there first of all, I was there for 10 years. I went from site manager to the boardroom.
Well done.
Site manager, contracts manager, then retrained as a QS.
What size of a company was that?
We were doing 22, 23 million.
Okay.
And I had responsibility for half. So the business was split in 2 halves. We had a north office and a southern office, and I was responsible for the northern office.
Brilliant.
So that was good. We did all sorts of work. We did external contracts. We did a lot of social housing. Yeah. A lot of big social housing refurbs. We did NHS work. Did big cut and carve refurbs in the city.
That CV must have been some CV.
Yeah, do you know what? It's quite funny because so a lot of the people I coach and mentor in the businesses I'm a non-exec of now, sometimes when they want funding, they're like, right, they've asked for your CV, and I send that and a list of projects, which is just a few like cherry-picked, about 30 or 40 cherry-picked projects. And people are like, what? I'm like, well, that's just a few. It's like, that's just nothing. It's just a project. It's I don't tend to kind of get too sort of. I get proper hard on when we win it and when we deliver it, but you move on to the next project or the next piece of work that you're doing. That might be a change management program with a company, or it might be going into a company to restructure it, sort out, bring some processes in. Yeah, that's what I focus on. I'm not bothered about the big like track record, and
I know what you mean.
I only know those metrics because when I first started doing the public speaking stuff, to kind of share my knowledge with small to medium construction businesses, I wanted to get insured as a keynote speaker. And they were like, okay, can you prove that you've got the minerals to talk about what you're talking about? So I was like, yeah. So I sat down with my wife and we were like, just wrote it out. And I got to the point where we'd done it on an Excel spreadsheet, and it got like auto sum and stuff on it. And it got to 300 million. And I just went, look, we've been at this for about 3 hours now. Fuck it. If they won't accept 300 million, I ain't doing anymore. Yeah. So, it's much harder than that, but it's...
No, fair play. So 10 years in with that company.
Yeah, so 10 years there.
So that was kind of your breaking ground...
Yeah, massively.
...moment in terms of, and you were given a lot of it sounded like you were given a lot of responsibility or a kind of a free rein.
Yeah.
Feeling for...
Not a free rein, definitely not a free rein. The chairman was... We still get on, and I actually ended up going back there for another period of over 5 years to do a management buyout. Yeah. But he was hardcore. He didn't take any prisoners. We used to have a phrase that, and it's really funny because my book is actually called Zero to Hero. Yeah. Which is not about that journey. It's about a blueprint for delivering a project. Yeah. But we had a phrase in that business where it was hero to zero because you were only ever as good as your last job, and if something happened, you could be literally from the top of the stairs down.
Sounded like the chairman was also the CEO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't, he looked after people. If you were good, I mean, I'll be eternally grateful because I don't know what the guy saw in me, but he gave me such an opportunity that I never felt I deserved. I didn't feel it was really even justified necessarily. That I'll always be grateful to him. And if you phone me now and had a problem, I'd be there to help him.
I think, like, even from my own background, I started when I was like 17 into the building industry, and I did spend a lot of time with the first construction company. It was like 10 years. And like yourself, I went back and done another stint for about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the same company after having left them. But one of the things when I think back of it now was they were so focused on processes and systems that you nearly got institutionalized into that model. Yeah. And you became ingrained in that system and process model. And it's something that stuck with me for the rest of my career, and even up to today. I kind of nearly get OCD about the fact that there isn't a process or a system or a procedure. And I know you can have death by procedure as well in terms of overkill.
You can definitely have death by process without a shadow of a doubt. But if you look at some of the biggest construction companies that have either failed or come so close to failing, it's always because they've ditched their own processes.
Or they've skirted corporate governance.
Yeah, Carillion ditched their own processes. Lang's didn't follow their own processes on some of the projects when they went skint. Lang O'Rourke went and built the Chum Hospital in Canada, didn't follow their own processes and lost absolutely fucking metric fuck tons of money.
Yeah.
You know, processes, that systems are there for a really, really simple reason, to save you time, emotion, money and sanity. It's a system, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
So having created it and proved that it works to keep you safe, why would you depart from using it?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. But some companies seem to want to have like massive, great big like CVRs. Like some of the CVRs I get sent are like got about 40 tabs on them. Like we've got one that's one tab.
Yeah.
One tab, front sheet and a backup tab. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you can't hide stuff. And the problem where a lot of companies go wrong, they either have no commercial controls or they're so complex that it's really easy to hide loads of stuff in. And it's just garbage in, garbage out.
It's interesting because we've a small property investment business, and we're doing a sort of a lot of refurbishment for domestic rental market and stuff like that. And our QS done a bill of quantities recently for one of the projects. So I went out to a number of different small builders. The amount of builders that said, as soon as you mentioned the bill of quantities, said, no, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Like, you either take that and say to yourself, okay, it's, you know, I really like this guy, I want to work with him. Or you go, do you know what? The reason that guy doesn't want that job is because he knows you have it down to every last piece of equipment or nail or screw or whatever it is. Yeah. Like, it's, you know, it's a discipline. Really what you're looking at.
It is massively a discipline. And I see it a lot. I mean, I do a lot of work. I coach, mentor, train people in the property investing world.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people that have got loads of experience. I see a lot of people coming in that have got none.
Yeah.
And one of the things I see a great deal is if you look at the pool of contractors that work in that, and I say contractors in a very useful term because actually I think if you took the actors bit off the end, you might be a bit closer to describe a lot of them, to be fair. But most of them are in that environment for a reason. Because if you picked one of those businesses up and stuck it into a proper blue chip construction environment, they wouldn't last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And they work in that environment for a very specific reason, because there's a big belief that most clients are very naive.
Yeah.
And one of the common things I have, because I'm a massive advocate for using specifications, drawings, proper JCT contracts, and I get loads of people say to me, well, my builder won't accept a contract. I'm like, well, so he won't agree in writing how much the price is, when it's got to be done by, who's insuring it, who's responsible for what. If they won't accept that, why do you want to work with them?
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a sort of a red flag for a lot of people.
Sorry to cut across you, but it brings me on to, you know, I don't want to skip over too much, but like, you know, what exactly are you doing for companies today? So I'm Joe Blogg's electrician. How is it that you've evolved to become this guru in terms of, like, I know what you're doing, and I think it's a, you know, fantastic. Like, there's more people needed like yourself.
So it goes back to a few things. One, I used to see a lot of subbies, and we used to employ a lot of subcontracts because our business was pretty much 100% subcontract. And I used to have really good relationships with a lot of these guys, and some of them I've worked with for 25 plus years.
Yeah.
But they used to work for other businesses as well. And the amount of times there'd be like horror stories like, oh, do me a favour, can you pay me early because so-and-so's knocked me? Do me a favour, I can't put labour on that site because they've asked me to accelerate, but they won't pay me for it.
Yeah.
And I used to hear all these horror stories, and quite often I'd give them like an hour. We might be sitting in the final account meeting or something. I wouldn't go and necessarily have a specific meeting just to help them, because in the very early instances it just sort of happened. But they'd be sort of saying, oh, this has happened. And I'm like, they can't do that.
Yeah.
But the subbie would not have a clue about what their rights are and also what their obligations are. So I'd give them a bit of advice and give them a bit of help and try and sort of
steer them in the right direction.
The balance a little bit, because you know, most of those guys are brilliant carpenters, but they don't know what a JCT contract is or what a subcontract is written by a main contractor.
Yeah.
And I found it, you know, there's one thing being rewarded with pound notes to pay your mortgage, but there's a very different type of reward, which is soul food.
Yeah.
And when you're actually helping people, that's where the reward is. It's in there.
Yeah.
That's more important to me than the financial metrics. And that's why nowadays I still do that stuff. I still work with probably a dozen contractors where I'm providing that kind of support. And some of that is like ongoing on a non-exec basis, like every month. Some of it is they might get an opportunity, like a contractor will say, oh, we want you to do this job, and I'll go through the due diligence and look at what they're pricing.
Yeah.
And some of it will be, somebody will say, oh, we've got this opportunity and it's an existing client, and they'll try and put a bit of pressure on them. So I'll sit down and go through it and say, well, do you understand what the opportunity is? And we'll look at it properly from like a 360 view.
Yeah.
And then we'll look at it and say, well, can you actually afford to do this? Can you finance it? Can you cash flow it? What's the impact of it? Mm-hmm. So I do that with a lot of different businesses.
So when would I need to get you involved?
Literally stage zero. As soon as you've got literally an opportunity, before it even becomes a deal and you commit to it.
So before tender at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I have this potential coming up. Yeah, Richard. You know, and then you'll come in and do a risk profile.
Yeah, exactly. We do a risk register on it and go, right, okay, you know, it's almost like a bit of a SWOT analysis.
Yeah.
What are the strengths of this opportunity? What are the weaknesses of it? What is the opportunity and what are the threats that actually exist within it?
More importantly, what is your current capacity to deal with this?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is what we talk about this a lot on the podcast, is people taking on too much. And, you know, do you have the rates? To meet this? Yeah,
it's kind of, I mean, we've sort of developed this kind of like model over the years where is it the right client, first of all? Is it the right consultant? Is the cash there to fund the project in the first place?
Yeah.
Do we actually like the challenge?
Yeah.
You know, can we handle the complexity of it? Have we got the capability for it?
Yeah.
And overall, what do we think about externally? What can we see? What do our sort of sixth senses say about the communication of all of those other businesses?
Yeah.
And if it's a no at any one of those points, then we're out. Because if
any
it's
of
not,
them?
any of them, yeah.
Come on.
Because but seriously, my attitude is, if it's not a fucking hell yeah, then it's got to be a hell no. It's like a light switch.
So these are commandments.
Absolutely. It's either on or it's off. And if it's on, we're going all in and we're going to fucking win that bit of work. Make no mistake. We're coming to win.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
But we're coming to win because we're not looking at 50 different things. You can't go on a journey in 2 cars. So you've got to be selective about what you want to bid for.
Well, then that actually brings me on to another point then. How do you advise the company to grow and scale the business if they're kind of rigid on these 10 commandments or whatever you have?
Because
he's looking at you going, or she's looking at you going, here, I know you're saying no, but I have to put bread and milk on the table here, Richard, you know?
But the whole point of doing that is so that you can still put bread and milk on the table when you're halfway through it and when you've done the final account and when you've been paid. Because if one of those things is a no, there's a massive risk attached to that.
Yeah.
So whether you can deliver it or whether you're going to get paid for it.
So you're basically saying you're better off staying at home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Slightly more technical version. But yeah, fundamentally, yeah.
No, seriously.
It's about picking the right opportunities.
I'm delighted you said that, because like there's massive risk on the table. Like a lot of people, and I think you could speak to it in terms of where the construction industry is at the moment for the small to medium enterprise builder. Like, do you see that there's massive risk on the table at the moment?
Huge. There's an awful lot of risk. But here's the thing with risk. I love risk. I think it's brilliant. Because if you haven't got any, you can't possibly have any opportunity either. They're wedded together. You have to have one in order to get the other. But risk is fine as long as you understand it and you've got a plan in place to mitigate, to measure it and to mitigate it.
Yeah.
Where a lot of contractors fall down is they've got no concept that there even is a risk. So therefore, they've got no mitigation in order to take it from a red to an amber or green.
There's no radar.
None whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, they get T-boned at 60 mile an hour. Yeah. And it's like, oh, what? Their application goes from 200 grand to 10.
Yeah.
They're 190 grand locked into a job and they can't afford to get out. And I remember literally 25 years ago, standing in a pub that I used to work in. I used to work behind the bar there when we moved to Birmingham. When we moved to Wing. But I wasn't working behind the bar that day. I was literally in the bar with a load of my mates having a beer. And there was a guy there who was a plumber. He's passed away now, sadly. And we used to call him Rhino because he was thick-skinned and he knew how to charge. He was proper expensive. But he had about 20 plumbers work for him and he was absolutely raging because he'd literally just been sent a cheque for 10 grand. His payment application was £190,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't square that.
He was like, but we were all talking about it and he was like, I can't afford to walk away.
Yeah, but is it not true that doesn't matter? Like that 100 and, what was it?
180 grand difference.
180 grand. Like that could be 18 grand to a smaller guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That 18 grand is just as valuable to the smaller guy as the 180 grand is to the other guy.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter.
It could be 180 quid to the geezer who put a digger through the front of the travel lodge.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's like people say to me, oh, well, what about big projects? Are they scary? I'm like, it's just where the decimal point is.
And this is what I'd love to get this message out that there is, it doesn't matter whether you're a one-man band, you still need to have this type of advice or support or instruction.
It's even more important for those SME businesses, is why I love what I do.
Yeah, because ultimately you're building sustainability into the business.
Into their company for the future.
Yeah, and what's the future? It's nearly like financial planning in itself, and then having this sort of board of directors, and we've spoken a couple of podcasts about kind of, it doesn't have to be like a flashy board.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be Richard and this guy's wife,
or this guy's in a pair of shorts and my boots. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's about the value that you bring to the table, not what suit you're wearing.
Yeah, but you're holding people accountable. You're holding the owner accountable.
Yeah, exactly. I hope for their own choices, but you also the support as well.
You were going to follow the plan. I gave you the structure. I've now walked in. You've brought me in as a non-exec director, and you've now, relaxed on two of the commandments here that I gave you.
Yeah.
And I'd say that has happened. Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few that I can't because I'm NDA'd, but there's a couple that I can. Both I've walked because I'm massively up for a conversation and a discussion and about a mutually beneficial way forward.
Transparency.
Absolutely. But if we sit, and here's the thing, if we sit and agree something, and we agree it's for the collective benefit of the business that we're working for, me as a non-exec and you as the owner, and we agree that's what we're going to do, and then you fuck off and go and do something completely different, I can't work with people like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to work with people like that. Time is our most precious gift that we have. It's the only thing we cannot buy. So I don't want to waste my time working with somebody that's not going to go and implement the stuff we talk about and agree to.
Talk to me about the individuals. Is there a commonality amongst their personality that leads them to be like that?
There's a lot of ego in the construction industry, an awful lot of ego. I wouldn't say there's necessarily a commonality. One of the things we do is like disc profiling. So understanding what people's types are.
Okay.
So one of the first things we look at is what are people's values, because I don't want to work with someone whose values are not aligned to mine, because it's just never going to work.
Yeah.
But I also want to understand what type of people I'm working with as well, so I can work out how best to communicate with them.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of people that have very big neurodiversion challenges.
Yeah.
So when I'm working with them, I make sure that if I'm working with them in the morning, the rest of my day is clear. Because I have to be at 500 miles an hour in my head, making sure that every single word that comes out of my mouth is coming out in a way that is going to land in a way that they're going to understand what I'm talking about.
I know what you mean.
So there is no one particular personality type that I think is more dominant than others. There's a lot of reds. There's a lot of people that are very, very like 150 miles an hour. And there's a lot of people with big egos.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very testosterone-fueled industry.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I would personally like to see is I would love to see that kind of male-female balance brought back to kind of more representative of society, because I think like the best ever boss I've ever had was an MD who came in, I'm not going to name her, but she came in from a big, big gambling business. She knew nothing about construction.
Mm-hmm.
I learned more from that lady about managing people than I've learned from anyone else in my life.
Yeah.
Anyone in 47 years.
Yeah.
She completely changed the dynamic of that company.
100%.
For the good.
Yeah.
But there's not enough of that. And unless we get that balance back in place, it's like I did a podcast interview about the menopause. I got more stick about doing a podcast interview about the menopause than I did doing a video on social media saying I was going to see a shrink because my head was a shed. I got absolutely ruined for talking about the menopause. I employ women. I've got more people, females in my business than I have males. So do I not really need to understand this stuff? Mm-hmm. If I can be a good employer and a good boss and a good friend and a good husband.
Yeah. But
so many people in construction are like, what are you talking about that for? You shouldn't be talking about that. Why do you want to talk about that? Well, geezers, isn't me. What cave did you just crawl out of? It's 2024, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. But I suppose the issue where I was trying to, get to was, in terms of the commonality, is it that these people don't like to be backed into corners and held to a system and a structure? And I know you've mentioned the ego, because the ego will be part of it. But there's also, yeah, I love this nice shiny medals that it looks lovely, this lovely car that you're going to give me. But then, once they're in the car and it's outside the garage, they're like, nah, don't mind, Richard. We've always done it this way.
Oh, there's a lot of that. We've always done it this way. Yeah. And I think we've got a few exercises that we do with people to show just what can happen when you do something differently. Yeah. That we use kind of like in the first sort of month to get people to understand and break that, because it's just a behaviour. It's just a pattern. Mm-hmm. So it's, I work with 4 coaches. One of them I work with really intensively. And sometimes he'll come and do stuff in businesses. He does stuff at my events when I teach people project management. Yeah. He comes and does a keynote about mindset, because that's just a pattern of behaviour. Yeah. And we just need to just go, right, how do we break that? And it's different for everybody, because unless you do that, you will always have that, well, we've always done it this way. Yeah. But if you've always done it this way, why have you hired me to come in and help you?
Well, you see, like playing devil's advocate on it. So I've brought the business to where it is today. Yep. I've worked my socks off to get to where it is now. Yep. Even if it's only 100 grand or 200 grand a year,
or 50 grand, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yep. Like, and at the end of the day, I know my customers better than you do. And yeah, I like everything you're talking about here, and I'd like to know a little bit about something that you might be able to offer me. Mm-hmm. But if I don't like the colour of the ice cream, I'm not buying the cone.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, are you in a mindset change management philosophy when you engage with the person first?
When I first engage with them, no. When I first engage with them, I want to understand where they are, what they're struggling with in the first instance, to work out if I can even help. Because, I was talking to someone on a big WhatsApp group that one of the UK's property trainers runs. I was a guest mentor for Down Tuesday. And the guy I had loads of questions about property, about construction, and someone asked me about a real technical point on tax. I was like, mate, I'm out. It's not my... So I always want to really pre-qualify, can I actually help you? And if not, do I need to signpost you to someone else? Yeah. So once we've sort of done that initial pre-qualification, then it's about actually, can I work with a person? Do I think the person's coachable to a degree? Yeah. Are they willing to want to learn? But you made a really important point I'd like to come back to before we go forward, which is I know my customer. Yeah. So many SME businesses don't actually know their customer. Mm-hmm. And especially in the construction industry. Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day about this, and they were saying about, my social media is not working. And they were marketing to SME business owners. Okay, what are you doing? Oh yeah, we're smashing out loads of social media. Okay, and that's not working for you, right? I said, but your avatar client is not on social media all day. Yeah. Where are they? They're on a building site. What is on a building site that's written in the site rules that shouldn't be? A radio. Do you not think you might contemplate actually doing some radio ads? And they were like, yeah. It was a proper mic drop moment. Yeah. Lots of people don't actually know their customer. Yeah. And until they do and actually understand what it is that their client wants them to deliver, they're not going to necessarily be successful. And if you look at some really, really big business owners, the founder has took the business to a certain level, and it's plateaued at that level, and then they've brought someone else in, and it's gone. But that's a really courageous thing to do, to set yourself aside and say, do you know what? I need to bring someone in to do this.
Yeah, it's and a lot of guys don't have time to no problem. A lot of guys don't have time to find people like you. Yeah. And I think and there's I don't know how to say this, but there's a lot of charlatans comes out coming out of the woodwork.
Oh, there are.
Mm-hmm. How do you advise people to, do the due diligence on getting the right person? Even if it's not yourself, it's somebody else.
It could be whoever. And do you know what? I'm absolutely Marmite. I'm not for everybody, and everyone's not for me. And do you know what's really interesting? I was having this conversation with my accountant yesterday, because she specialises in construction. She only works with construction trades. SMEs, 500 grand to 15 million. That's her target client. Yeah. And we were having this conversation about someone the other day, about a business advisor that's been advising some of her clients. And she didn't know until she went through the zero bookkeeping. And she was like, you need to get this geezer out of your business. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And she's now said to me, look, can we undo some of this damage? Yeah. Because there are a lot of people out there who don't actually understand what they're talking about. And they command big figures. When some of these people were doing, especially during COVID and post-COVID, one of the things that they were doing was going into SME businesses that were struggling financially and saying that they could arrange business finance for them.
Oh, go on.
Brilliant. But the business finance was a C-bills loan. But they got a percentage of what they were actually,
they were
what money they were bringing in.
Yeah,
so they were getting 10, 15, 20% of that C-bills loan as a fee. And then the clients left to pick up the bill.
They're completely biased in the whole system.
Yeah, so my advice would be, find somebody that on recommendation that actually...
Well, look at your record. Look at your, Richard, 30 odd years experience at least in construction, being on the tools, being in the management sphere, you have all that sort of background behind you.
Yeah, and
why would you go for somebody that has financial planning behind them when you're looking for somebody that has core expertise? Stick to somebody that's got a niche in your area, I'd imagine, no?
Yeah, that's totally true. I mean, I got approached by somebody to act as a project non-exec on a probably about 12 million quid project, serious, nice project. And they approached me, and we got about 80% of the way through doing we got the heads of terms agreed, started going through all the due diligence, and they got cold feet. And I was like, that's totally fine. And they're like, well, we don't want to pay your fee. I was like, I haven't given you a fee. You brought an offer to me.
Yeah.
I'm completely fine with that. Do you know what? If you've decided for whatever reason, and their accountant said to them, oh, actually, we think this deal's too risky. So now they're going to make 100% of nothing because they haven't got a deal.
Wow.
But it's about getting the right person who's got the skills, knowledge, attitude, training, education, and experience, and references. And it's got to be somebody that you get on with and you want to work with as well.
But I love the fact that you've got this training mastermind coaching business.
Oh, I love my mastermind. It's the happiest day of my month.
Is it?
Delivering mastermind. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
It's brilliant. So I got diagnosed with an illness 7 years ago called ulcerative colitis.
Okay.
So it's managed by medication right now, but there's no cure for it. And one of my coaches said to me, I teach people development, and the knowledge you're giving them in terms of project management is absolutely invaluable. It would be a crime if that died with you. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And it took me about 6 months to get my head around what he was really saying. And then I spent a year, I literally, all I did was 4 pieces of consultant, 4 non-exec roles that year. That was it. Didn't do any other work. And I wrote a literally 0 to 7 program. So complete end-to-end project management blueprint. And I did it by going back over 400 projects that we'd delivered.
Brilliant.
And 250 where we'd been bought in to sort out project recovery. And I looked at all the ones where we'd been successful. I looked at 300 ones where we'd been successful. And I looked at 100 of our jobs where we'd got to the end of it and we'd made some money, but we hadn't necessarily, we'd got there with a bit of a handbrake turn at 100 miles an hour, and we hadn't always made what we thought we were going to make. Because I didn't want to just look at the wins. I wanted to look at the opportunity as well.
Yeah.
So I then wrote a system, 0 to 7, and it's very specifically 0 to 7. I spent 11 months writing it. And then I went out to 3 big industry players of national and international construction companies and said, look, who have been previous coaches and mentors of mine, said, look, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working on. Can you have a look at it? One of them was too busy, which was absolutely fine because he's mega busy, he's all over the world. One was yeah, absolutely. So I spent days with him going through it, made loads of tweaks and changes to it because I ain't no teacher.
Yeah, I'm
a construction guy, I'm not a teacher. So did that. Then I went through it with another guy who was he was one of the site managers on one of the first jobs I ever went on. And it's actually really sad because he passed away about 8 weeks ago.
Sorry to hear that.
And went through that. So we got it done. Brilliant. But I'm not a teacher. And I had this massive kind of imposter syndrome that what gives me the right to teach people?
Yeah.
And is this actually got any educational merit? It might be a great operating manual. So it might be a great manual, but if it's not teachable, it's got no value attached to it. People are not going to do it. So then I spoke to people in adult education and they were like, what the fuck have you done? Literally, this woman, that was her voice note to me. What the fuck have you done? Like, what? She went, this is absolutely brilliant. It's gold. You've taken 30 plus years and condensed it into a 3-day course that people can go and implement straight away, whether they're a trade, whether they're a main contractor, because it's also got all of the toolkit, all of the tools that they need. So to act as a project manager, to act as an owner of a business, as an owner of a business, it's got all the health and safety stuff, it's got all the sales and marketing stuff, it's got all the commercial templates in there. It's got every single asset you need, and they're all open source.
Wow!
So they're all in either Word, Excel, or MS Project format. So literally, you can just go bang, I need that. change that logo, job done.
So it's a whole model.
Yeah, it's a business. It's a blueprint in a box. Yeah,
unbelievable. So how many people would you train on an annual basis with that now?
So we've done about 16 months, and we've done about 165, 170 people.
Oh wow!
We don't cram like loads. We don't have like 50 and 100 people in a room. We cap it at a maximum of 24 people.
Okay.
Because I want to get to know each of the people that's in the room, so they get the real good value from actually being there, and we can make it specific to them. So there's probably about 200. I can't remember, 250 slides, I think. But a lot of those slides might only be a photograph.
Yeah.
Because what I do is I use that photograph as an anchor, and I'll go, right, that thing there.
Yeah.
The reason you need to do this is because this is what happens when you do, and this is what happens when you don't. And people love it because it's really visual, it's really interactive, it's story-based, so it's memorable for people.
Yeah.
And they get all the tools to take away.
I'm glad you've done that, because a lot of people in construction, obviously, kind of identify. I'm one of those people that show me an image, show me a graph, show me a graphic. Yeah, exactly. I can get that more. It's more tangible for me. So what kind of cost would that cost me now to do?
So the course is $12,995 plus VAT for the 3 days.
For the 3 days. And then is that anyway accredited, or is that a...
So we're currently going through CPD accreditation at the moment.
Brilliant.
So we're working on that at the moment.
So you have to do all the evaluations and the feedback and all that kind of stuff. So you do that already anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've already gone through that process already with 5 people. So
the structure's already there for CPD anyway.
It's all built around that, and we've got a couple of big training providers up in Leeds, one in Peterborough that want to talk to us about doing it business to business.
It's brilliant, because you're creating a whole ecosystem. So number one, you can go in and prevent people from falling into the pit hole of taking on a job that you shouldn't take on. So you're straight up front. You're adding value. That way.
Absolutely.
Number two, you can sit down on the project and look at the operations in terms of how it's playing out, in terms of your commandments, rules, that everybody's holding everybody accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're holding the business owner accountable, so that, obviously they're not going to fall into whatever pit hole. Yeah. Number three, if there is a problem, you're there to jump in and say, right, I'll help you out with that problem.
Here's a mad thing, right? So I'm not a trainer. I've never been a trainer. So I wrote the course, started doing it. We did the first one, and at the end of day 3, I think we had 10 people on the first course, and 4 of them said to me, how do we work with you in the future? And I was like, I don't know. They were like, have you not got like a card reader for like a mastermind program for a year or something? I was like, no. I said, it's just a course, you've got all the tools. Yeah. And they were like, but we want accountability, we want someone to help. Yeah. So I was like, right, okay. So I went on a business retreat in January with a good mate of mine in Tenerife. And
that's not a retreat, by the way.
It is a retreat.
Trust me, it's a retreat.
My wife thinks it's holiday. It's a retreat.
I'm on the side of your wife. Yeah, this is like
It was a retreat.
I know.
But one of the things that I had a conversation with him about was actually creating that kind of like community. So what we did, we set up a mastermind group where there's 3 different levels. People can just turn up every month for the accountability. Yeah. So we meet once a month, and then we have like Zoom sessions 1-to-1 with them during the month. We have a separate level, which is level 2, where we provide the health and safety support, the contract management, and the QS stuff for one project. Yeah. And then we have a top tier where we do that for multiple projects, so that people that are small to medium businesses can get that level of support without going and hiring a QS and a project manager.
Love it.
And it's a deposit, and it's paid monthly, so it just goes onto their overhead. And the idea is that it's like 200% cost neutral, because the value that we save them in spending on other stuff anyway for the person, but also for saving money on things like materials, wastage, time efficiency, contract terms. So actually they make more money as a result anyway.
It's brilliant. My hat's off to you.
Thank you.
Because, the small person is struggling.
Yeah,
even if they're making profit. They need this sort of support. They need, and I love the whole model of, you crack on with your business. I'll be here on your shoulder to make sure that you don't mess it up, or I'll be there to pick you up.
Yeah, that's literally how it works. And they're, some of them are small guys doing like a couple of $100,000. There's one guy who's not even doing quite that much because he took some time off last year. And there's others that have gone from like 500,000 to £1 million. And one of my clients literally joined on the Sunday, was due to start building a house on the Monday, and I said, look, you're not joining if you start tomorrow. We need 4 weeks to plan that out properly. They were like, well, we've got 28 weeks to do it. I was like, well, you're not joining. We either stop and we do it properly, or we don't do it at all.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, but we want to pay. And I don't care if you want to pay. We're doing it the proper way, or we're not doing it at all.
Yeah.
So they agreed. We started it 3 weeks later. We built a house. We took it from a field to a finished house, snagged, finalled in 24 weeks, and it sold 3 weeks later. Brilliant. For way over the asking price.
Brilliant.
And they're like, can we join on lifetime? I was like...
Well, that's the other thing that, like, I think you're probably underselling yourself a little bit, is that, you know, if people were working with the likes of yourself and then they got that bond or relationship with yourself through the construction side of the business, that you can actually start working with them on financial planning for the future.
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we're looking at actually,
so
part of what we're doing this year
profits.
Is exactly how we can, like, now we've got them to being profitable. Yeah. What do they do with that profit? So we've got specialists coming with different pension type products. Yeah. We've got somebody coming in to look at their sales and marketing so that they can invest in actually going after the slightly bigger projects. So they're not like running around doing like 20, 30 grand extensions. They're like, right, we're not doing anything under 100 grand now.
Brilliant.
So it's about actually, because lots of people would teach them, I'll just go and be a developer, or just go and do this. Don't be a general builder anymore. Well, we need trades. Yeah. So why would they stop doing that? They just need to be better structured.
And as well as that, you're training them to train the next generation.
Exactly.
So even if they don't use you again, they have your blueprint to pass on to the next person or whoever, if it's a generational business.
That's the whole part of it, is about actually building a legacy. So my idea of legacy is not just for my family, it's for the construction industry as a whole. Yeah. So we're working on something at the moment, which I'm not going to fully disclose, but we are working on something at the moment that is going to change that whole part of the industry, which we're hoping to launch probably Q4 this year.
So we're going to have to be the first ones that notifies everybody.
Yeah, listen, once it's done, I'd love to come back and talk to you about it.
Brilliant. Listen, Richard, you're an absolute pleasure to deal with.
I've really enjoyed this interview.
If people want to get you, where do we go? What's the best?
I'm on all the social media, or most of the social media platforms. I manage all my own communication, so if you message me on social media, you get me talking to you. It's not like a bot or some other human being. So I'm Richard Stone on LinkedIn. I'm RM Stone on Instagram. I'm Richard Stone on Facebook. I'm on most of the platforms.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put all that contact info in the show notes. And listen, absolute pleasure, Richard. Brilliant. And we'd love to have you back on again when
I wish you all the luck with the podcast.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.
Have a great day.